Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from LateTart320 from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit, and it says, am I the arsehole for telling my fiance that his family was too nice when I met them? Throwaway account because my fiance is on Reddit and I really don't want to risk anything. I, 27 female, recently met my fiance's 31 male family for the first time. We have been together for 4 years, but we spent 2 of those years in my home country and then moved to his country after I finished my graduate program. We didn't settle in his home state, but I kept asking to meet his parents because he's met mine multiple times and he always said they're just very private people or kind of old-fashioned. So we should wait until we're engaged. Weird, but some people are just weird, so I didn't push on it. Well, we're engaged now. So last weekend we finally made the trip, and I don't know how else to describe it, but something felt really off about the entire thing. They weren't rude. I want to preface this by saying that. It's on the contrary. They were nice to a degree that felt contrived and honestly, a little scary. His mum kept hugging and touching me and holding my hands, asking me what she can do for me, how she can make me comfortable, that it's so nice to finally meet me. His dad barely said a word to me and that juxtaposition was a lot, but I felt loved bombed a little. She made all my favourite foods and kept anxiously asking if anything was wrong, if she could refill my drink. She even offered me her shirt when I mentioned I thought it looked really nice. I thought maybe she was just anxious, I don't know. His little sisters asked polite questions to me, but still, it felt so surface level. His mum was dominating everything. It kind of felt like a job interview. Like, what are you looking for in a marriage, and have you heard much about our little town? With palpable relief when I said no, because I'm not from the US. She asked about my past relationships and was very interested in why me and my past boyfriend broke up. I specifically remember her asking, how hard did you fight for it, or did you just leave? And that was so weird. I just felt oddly interrogated and coddled at the same time. I'm not explaining myself well, but my gut told me to get out of that house. My fiance barely spoke all night, and anytime I looked to him for reassurance, he just smiled and looked down at his hands, which is not like him at all. A couple of nights in and I told him I was feeling kind of weird and wanted to go home. He asked me why, and I told him that maybe I'm just not used to American socializing, that I just feel a little tired and overwhelmed, and that his family is really nice and I'm not sure how to handle it. I was trying not to be rude, but we've always emphasized honesty in our relationship, and I thought this was a cultural thing. Maybe we could talk it out and overcome it together. He got really defensive though, saying I was being dramatic, rude and xenophobic, when his family had gone out of their way to make me feel welcome. I apologized and said I was grateful, that I just felt a little weird, and he said he was done talking about it. We drove home and he won't talk about it anymore, will hardly even talk to me. His mum on the other hand has been texting me non-stop since she met me, how she was happy to meet me, how beautiful I am, and how she hopes we won't wait too long to get married and have kids. I just feel so unsettled. My fiance thinks I'm an ungrateful arsehole, and maybe I am. Am I? I just feel so out of sorts over this. Any advice, criticism, anything is welcome. Edit. My fiance still isn't talking to me at all. He shut himself in our room and said he needed space. Seriously, am I missing something here? What the fuck do I do? I feel like I'm going crazy. So, Defiant Blueberry says to OP, not the arsehole. Americans will talk and smile to strangers all the time, just being friendly, but this is not normal American socializing. I'm from the South US, where we take the friendly up a notch, and I'm on my couch cringing so bad I almost stopped reading. I was so uncomfortable. OP says I didn't want to make any generalizations in my post, but I seriously thought I was just being inconsiderate and not adapting to a different culture, because he kept insisting that was my problem. But it's weird, right? It felt so much more than friendly. I can't accurately depict it with words. Thank you for sharing this as an American because I feel a lot less crazy now. Shammy Dammy says, makes me wonder if he threatened them and they react in this way as a passive-aggressive reaction to his pressure. OP says, I don't know. I asked to meet them for a long time and he had so many reasons for why we couldn't. So I guess part of the discord in my mind is why they reacted this way when he told me they were private and old-fashioned. It just doesn't match up at all. I also didn't think my fiance would do something like that, but he's acting so strange right now. Freeset says, sounds like you're experiencing at least a little culture shock, which is totally normal. It can take a while to get used to the practices of a new place. On top of that, they may be trying so hard to look good in front of you that they are overcompensating a bit, making it feel awkward. It will get better with time, just be patient and try not to get too aggravated. Not the arsehole. Opie said, I think it might be the second option more than a culture thing. Maybe they were just nervous, specifically his mum. But the texting hasn't really stopped and it's freaking me out. I just met them and it's gone from 0 to 100. Responding to a comment that was talking about dysfunctional homes, Opie said, I didn't think about this. He doesn't speak about his family life that much. Maybe this was a difficult thing for him too. I kind of feel selfish now for not thinking of it. Maybe I'll try from this approach. I'm just at a loss. I don't know how productive our conversations will be from this point. I tried to talk to him again and he accused me of cheating. So, I don't know. This seems like a gentler way, so maybe it will work. Now for me, it wasn't so much about the mum and the way she was acting, although I know that's a huge part of it. It was like everything in the background that really got me thinking about why he didn't want her to meet the family in the first place and wasn't honest about how they actually are as people. Then the intrusive questions, which you said yourself was more like an interrogation than a getting to know you chat. And what was it, 4 years before you got engaged and then was able to meet the family? You know, it's just a lot of red flags waving at this particular moment in time. But Opie came in with their update and said, I finally got my fiance to talk to me, and it was not a good conversation. I apologized again for coming across as ungrateful, and he said that the way I reacted to his family told him everything he needed to know about why he was so reluctant to let me meet them in the first place. He said I should be grateful they welcomed me with such open arms, and that I needed to remember that the only reason I'm doing so well in this country is because I'm dependent on him to be here. That had me so angry. I literally can't stand being talked down to. I said I felt like this was way out of proportion, and then he accused me of cheating on him. He demanded to see my phone because apparently, according to him, I'm intentionally trying to sabotage our relationship by saying his family is too nice, so that he'd call off the engagement. I can call him the arsehole, and I can get to go off with my so-called fling. I'm not a cheater. So I said, go ahead, look through my phone. He scrolled through my text for a bit, my internet search history, my social media search history, and my camera roll. As expected, he found nothing, but he doubled down and said that this was a serious problem for him, that he needs to reevaluate our entire relationship. I'm so baffled. He has never blown up on me like this. I feel like I don't even recognize who I'm getting married to. What the fuck do I do? Am I actually this much of an arsehole? Edit for clarity. I didn't articulate myself well in the first post, so here is a more extensive rundown of what happened at his home. His mum touched my hair and kept hugging me, grabbing my arm. She even pinched my cheeks a couple of times. It could all be very normal things. I'm coming to understand this by reading the comments, but this paired with everything else just made me feel like more of a doll. She said I was more beautiful than I imagined. Multiple times kept saying I was beautiful and perfect for her son. She grabbed my shirt because she said it looked so good on me and wanted to feel it. She insisted I sit down next to her and every so often kept saying she was so glad to finally meet me and that it feels like she's been waiting for me forever. She served my plate for me and kept filling it with food, even when I said thank you. It was so yummy, but I'm full. She kept bringing me drinks even when I said I wasn't thirsty. I don't handle alcohol well, so I try not to drink. I tried to decline, but she kept on insisting, so then I felt like I couldn't. She was asking me what I was looking for in a relationship, what kind of wife I wanted to be, what my past relationships were like, why I left my exes, what my thought process and reasoning was. And since we left, she has been texting me almost this whole time, asking me to promise I'll come back and visit, asking when the wedding is, asking me not to put it off for long, asking when we're going to have kids, asking if we're trying for kids. Hope this provides more clarity for why I felt the way I did. Even if I shouldn't have said it to my fiance because I was a guest in their home and a receiver of their hospitality. Edit 2. Many people have asked, and I guess this might be more relevant than I thought. Fiance is white and I am Asian. No, I was not born in the US. We met when he was teaching English in my home country. And there was a lot of people saying, get out of there right now, or maybe he's projecting about the cheating, etc. Some people saying Google him and his small hometown right now. But OP did come in with another update, which they titled their final update. It said, "I want to start this out by saying thank you so much to all the commenters and people who message me private words of support and comfort. I've been really slow to catch up to what is happening to me, and though a lot of the comments scared me, I started coming to the natural conclusion that they were right. I felt more and more unsettled as the hours went on. Fiance's mother kept texting me, and he didn't text me from work like he usually does. He got back late. His job is labor intensive and requires long hours. When he got back, I was waiting and told him I wanted to talk, right now, because the way events are unfolding is unacceptable to me. The effort I put into our relationship and is leaving too many questions unanswered and creating even more." He instantly lit up and demanded to see my phone again. I said I would not give him my phone unless he gave me his, and he vehemently denied, saying I was the one causing problems, so it was his right to look through my phone, not his. At this point, I was starting to feel really scared of him. I'm physically much smaller than him, and this has never felt more apparent to me than in that moment. He was speaking really loudly and really closely to me, telling me that his family and him were willing to give me a second chance if I behaved better this time, that he knew I had it in me to be polite because I always acted that way back in my home country, and that no one else in America would put up with this bullshit. So I should consider myself lucky he didn't do more to expose my cheating. I asked if he was threatening me, and he demanded again to see my phone. I said no, not as firmly as the first time, and he stormed off to the bathroom and turned the shower on. I was really scared. So many of you told me to look him and his family up, and I didn't because I honestly thought it was silly. But I did, right there in the living room. Turns out he did have a past girlfriend. Though he's always maintained he has only had short flings and never a serious relationship. She disappeared 8 years ago, and he was considered a suspect for a while. I couldn't find much in the articles because honestly, I didn't know how to dig further. I don't know if anything ever happened with it, if he's still a suspect. I guess he couldn't be to teach English in another country. I don't know how it works. I know he was never convicted, but whether or not he did it is irrelevant to the fact that he lied. He lied so colossally about something so huge. I was genuinely so scared that I started shaking. I couldn't think or do anything. It was the middle of the night and he was in the shower, and I was just so scared. I really missed my mum and my home so much more than I have since I left. I locked myself in our bedroom and called her, and she answered, despite it being in the middle of the night, and tried to explain what was happening as best as I could. My parents told me to leave all of my things except for family photos, heirlooms, and my work things and go to a hotel. Not to say a word to him and just do it as quickly as possible. I told them he was in the shower, so they thought I would have enough time to do it without him noticing. I got all my stuff together as quickly as I could. I think I forgot some jewelry, but it's okay. My dad sent me money for a hotel, and that's where I'm at right now. I took an Uber about 2 hours away from the city on a separate account I made that night, as I don't have a car here. My fiance started messaging me about 30 minutes into the drive asking what was going on. I sent him the links to the articles I read and said I was feeling really scared and lied to, and that I thought our relationship was over. He thought I was cheating. Clearly we don't trust each other. He called me so many times, kept saying that I was a bitch for accusing him of something he didn't do, for bringing up such a sore subject when he wasn't ready to talk about it. He said he wished he never met me, and I should think long and hard about what I'm doing because I don't fully understand the consequences of being alone in America. That no one will want me like him, that he was doing me a favor. I just ignored it. I was crying so hard the Uber driver actually asked me if I was okay. Then his mum started calling and texting me. She said she knows it sounds scary, but her son is a good person and he had nothing to do with it, and that if we get married and have kids, things will really smooth out. I couldn't take it anymore. I just wanted to go home. Everything was clicking into place way too much. His parents' treatment of me, why he kept demanding to see my phone, why it took so long for me to go to his hometown and meet his family. My friend walked me through everything and it all made sense. My body was so overcome by the stress and fear that I couldn't stand to be there for one more second. I'm at the hotel now. All location services on my phone are disabled and my dad bought me a plane ticket home. I emailed my job and told them a family emergency came up and I would no longer be able to offer my services to them. Most of my clothes are still at the home I shared with my fiance, and I don't think I'll ever get them back because I don't want to go back. And it's not like I can ask my friends to get it for me. I have some friends here, but they're not close, and it's too hard to ship them. Anyway, that's it. I sent him a text saying that the engagement is called off. There's a lot of things to address, like the fact that we have shared accounts. He has my visa information, etc. I don't want to speculate over what happened with him and his past girlfriend because I don't know. They never found her, and my heart breaks for her. He just lied about it for years and tried to do everything he could to keep it from me. I'm too scared to ever be comfortable in that relationship again, and I think it's time for me to go home. Thank you so much again to everyone who sent me comforting words of support and kindness. I don't know if I would have come to the same conclusions if not for your comments. Hopefully next time we meet, I'll be back home with my family and friends. And there was lots of advice in the comments after this one. Some people telling OP to get a police escort to get your items back. Other people just saying, get out of there, your safety is paramount in this situation. All I can say after that one is that is absolutely terrifying after that information was coming out. Obviously, we don't know what happened or anything like that, but it's awfully scary, isn't it? Especially with everything around it. But as I said, that was OP's final update they said in that one. What do you guys make of this situation? Absolutely terrifying. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit. A little bit of neighbor drama here from Tway with a string of numbers and says, Am I the Arsehole? 34 male for stooping to a new low by kicking our neighbor's garbage bins out of the way whenever she, 37 female, leaves it in front of our driveway. Context: new neighbors moved in. She was nice enough at first, but she has a serious problem with how she handles garbage days. I'm not sure how the fuck one woman can create so much garbage. She would have her bins out, but it's always overfilling. Many times I've come out of my driveway to go to work to see a pile of spilled over fresh garbage sitting right in front of my driveway after the raccoons got to it, or all of her bins blocking my car from leaving. I've spoken to her many times about this, and she always says that it must be getting moved around by the wind or knocked over by raccoons. Lol. There is no way in hell all that garbage is getting blown around by the wind. The raccoon part I believe, but there are locks on the garbage bins for a reason, and if you can't close it because there's too much trash, that's a you problem. Lately, even when I know she's home, she will ignore me at the door. I always back out of my driveway, and I will see the bins blocking my path. I tolerate moving them out of the way, even though it pisses me the fuck off every morning. What I can't tolerate is when raccoons get into her shit, and as I'm backing out I see piles and piles of fucking garbage blocking my path. I've had to use a shovel to get it out of the way. I've been waking up a bit earlier to move her garbage. And the other day I asked myself, why the fuck am I going out of my way to help this stupid idiot? I took a good look at her bins and just kicked them as hard as I could over to the side, and the garbage spilled over to her driveway instead of mine. I notice now she is slowly learning to take proper care of her garbage, and sometimes she even puts it on the other side of her driveway. She's been a lot better lately, but not perfect. She sometimes now locks the bin hinges and keeps it on the other side of the street, but whenever I catch it in front of my driveway, I will kick it back to her side. I told my wife about it, and she said, this is so pathetically low of me. She doesn't have to wake up and deal with someone else's shit, so I don't really expect her to understand. Or maybe I am just a piece of shit. I don't know. I feel like I've done my part being nice. I don't give a fuck anymore. Am I the arsehole? Edit. Hey guys, I see a lot of hate coming towards my wife, and while I appreciate everyone's advice on what to do about her, this is just the way we both speak to each other, and have been speaking to each other since we met. Maybe it's unhealthy, but I think we both also understand there is a level of sarcasm when we speak this way. It's when she doesn't speak like this with me and uses my full name that has me concerned. Edit 2. Wife read my first edit and is quite happy with my response. Thank you guys for indirectly giving me free brownie points. Nah, this is not the arsehole from me. I mean, you've had multiple conversations with her. You patiently cleaned up her mess for who knows how long. And you even tried knocking when you know she's home. To me, you've tried the polite route multiple times and it's not getting in. At least this way that you're doing it now, it seems to be having an effect that's more positive for you and you're not having to pick up someone else's rubbish, or garbage should I say. And that would absolutely piss me off at the same time, that you're having to shovel garbage out of the way 6 a.m. before work. I would be peed off. It's like always with these stories, some people need that lesson and they only learn when they experience the consequences of their actions firsthand. Windy Mint says, previous place I lived, the trash collectors had a right to not even pick up the containers where the lid couldn't close. There was a requirement due to the mechanical nature of the arm/clamp picking up the bins to upend into the truck. That was residential. At my office, we got fines if the bin's lid wasn't able to close. Not the arsehole. That's super annoying and frustrating, and should not be your problem, and clearly wasn't getting the hint. My new neighbor has a kid about 10 years old who likes to roll the emptied bins back up to our garages from the curb. It's sweet and he's tidying up and clearly has fun. He goes around the entire section of the neighborhood to do this every week after the collection truck goes through. However, I do have to watch out when opening my garage and planning to leave. My empty bin might be behind my car once the door is open, or it might be in the way when I come home, so I need to move it before I pull it into the garage. But in this case, it's a slight inconvenience, no spilled trash, and I'd rather encourage a kid who wants to be helpful. Aw, that's pretty sweet. Too Much Awesome says, what a nice kid. Hobos replies to that saying, casing the whole neighborhood for the big score someday. Fairy Tale says, not the arsehole, to be fully petty in my response. Your wife is the pathetic one. Make her get up to deal with it and see what different approaches she'll take, and call her bluff too. Tell her fine, from now on, she's on trash duty since she knows she can handle it all so much better. Again, not the arsehole. You've done everything you could to try and communicate and accommodate. Your neighbor showed bad faith and indifference to the inconvenience she caused you, and even went as far as to ghost you. You are fully in your right to have kicked her bins over to teach her a lesson only experience will allow to sink in. Good for you. Average Russ Gamer says, were you picking up the garbage before? She must have had a lot of garbage if you have to wake up early to move it. I would have just shoveled it to her side. If it kept up, I would have used more forceful swings to spread the garbage around her property. Maybe open a few bags while I'm at it. I wouldn't continue kicking the bins though. If she films it, it can be taken out of context and used against you. Put them in her driveway so she can't get out. Not the arsehole. Now, what would you do in this situation? Do you think OB's justified in kicking those bins over? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories. Your love, your support, your time, it always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved. And hopefully, I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.